Okay, so welcome back. Today I'm drinking coffee, instant coffee. I like to do regular grounds, but it takes too long sometimes, and I don't really mind the flavor of instant coffee. I feel like some people are a little pushy about their coffee. It's just caffeine. It's caffeine and beans, man. That's all it is. This has some honey in it, so it's pretty nice. Anyway, welcome to the video. Today I just have a couple of quick updates. I might ramble quite a bit about my game. Yesterday I was working on it. It's been in like maybe a week or two since I've touched it, and I'm having a couple of more realizations. I worked on some camera stuff and worked on like the kind of like the presentation of the game, because before I had it like really zoomed out and like you could see the whole map. But now I'm thinking maybe I want to zoom it really far in and then like show you one chunk of the level at a time, and then like switching between them changes. Anyway, I'll get into that. Little update. So last time I think I talked about having a chat with my employer and being freaked out because it sounded like they canned me with you know, some reason that's not applicable to EI. So turns out, no, it's good. I talked with them not yesterday, 2 days ago, as I said, and it went good, and I'm feeling more confident about that. I feel like I haven't been wasting my time for the past month applying for EI. It's kind of scary. Anyway, yeah, so things are good on that front. I've been feeling that tension release, and it has been so good for my creativity, for like working on projects and getting things done that I actually want to do. Like, I can understand, I can start to see why, listen, opinion ahead. I can understand why so many people are invested in a universal basic income. And I don't understand why we haven't gotten to that point yet. Because to me, it seems like people just want to live. Is that a controversial opinion? Did I just say something controversial, or did I just say something that's a fact? Money does weird things to people. You know, when people earn things, it makes them really, really weird about who can have those things. Maybe that's just growing pains. Maybe that's just how we're learning how to like restructure our society so that people can live, so that people have spaces. People used to have spaces before we had like big groups, you know, big cities and collections of people that are all completely different. Before we had these things, we had like little tiny like micro villages, and they were like accommodating, and they like helped people. You know, in 10,000 BC, there were people with broken legs that didn't heal, who were living long and luscious lives because the people around them cared about them. It's funny, I'm like, am I saying a controversial take, or am I just saying a fact? Haha. Anyway. Yeah, so about my game then. Moving on to things that are more interesting. So like I said, yesterday I was working on my game. Abyss Little Guys. Working title. Don't get mad. It was mostly on camera stuff, like I said. I was working on trying to figure out like a grid system, how to switch between chunks of level. So I'm thinking like a Spelunky structure where it's like 4x4, like a 4x4 structure that's the same size, and then it's like it just randomly generates what kind of pieces it wants there. And I've got it working right now, and it is completely unabashedly random. It's completely random, and that is okay for now, because nothing really has to work. So at the point I'm at right now, I just wanted to figure out if I wanted to have like a zoomed out view of things where you see multiple chunks of the level as you're progressing, or if I wanted to have a zoomed in kind of a look and make it like a kind of like a side-scrolling platformer, like paced out kind of an experience where you're like taking in each level at the time. You know, it's like you've got like a massive overall level, and then within that you've got little chunks of level that you're like progressing through, and like there's little challenges in there. I'm foreseeing two problems with this. The first problem is that I'm gonna have to implement a way to I'm gonna have to implement a way for the level to predict what kind of pieces it's putting in for each chunk, and then what entrances and exits those have, and then predict what the next piece should be. So the algorithm actually has to get a little bit more complex. And I was thinking, I wrote about this in my blog. You can check this out in my blogs, one of the most recent posts. I was talking about maybe generating the level on the fly, like at runtime. So as the player is playing through, as soon as you're about to enter into the next chunk of level, the game just goes, boom, okay, where are you exiting from? Top or bottom, left or right? And then it'll say, okay, let's generate a chunk that has an opening on that side, and then puts it there, and then generates whatever enemies or items or whatever at the same time, and then pop, it's done. So that would actually be really inexpensive, considering I'm making a 2D game with not many effects. You could do that right at runtime. Like, you could literally just have it walk through a little area that detects the collision, boom, generates the level, and then you progress, and then it switches camera, and then you're in the level. That would work. I could see that working on a potato. I could see that working on like a Nokia phone. That I think would be nice. I just don't want to run into problems where like maybe what happens is like I don't test too deeply, and then it turns out that I keep generating like similar rooms based on player behaviors. So like if some players like to go right all the time, it's going to generate only rooms with entrances to the left and the right. And then you're going to have an issue with like, you know, how far that goes. Like if I decide to have no limit to the amount of rooms in a level, what if you just like went right all the way? Like it would just generate rooms that have entrances to the left and right, and then you could just have like an infinite room unless I generated something that has a lock or you know, something that'll stop the player from doing that. Like I said though, that's forethought. Like that's, I don't know if there's a problem there. That's an unknown, so I would have to experiment with that to find out if that's going to be an issue. That's for playtester Derek. Not for engineer Derek. Yeah. So far I like the ideas though. My brother came over the other day and he delivered some beautiful plants for me. I'll see if I can show you some of the plants. So I can't really zoom in, but anyway, there's up on the top there's some plants that he gave me, and then right beside my big red pot with the big tree in there, he gave me some other ones. And that was really nice. Appreciated that. Haven't seen my family in a bit, so it was nice to have my brother just come over and give me some stuff. And then I asked him if he wanted to see my project because I was working on it, and he's also into indie game dev. And he was like, "Yeah, shoot me up." So yeah, I basically showed him what was up and what I was working on, what my next problems were, and he's kind of cursorily read through my blog, so he kind of knows a little bit. But I was doing a lot of like re-explaining and trying to articulate it, because this is an issue you have when you're an artist or a creative and you're trying to like talk to somebody who knows nothing, is that like you are taking so many things for granted and you have so many biases towards the project because it's like stuff that you've already thought about, so you don't even talk about it. So I had to like re-explain a lot of stuff, and he had a lot of questions, and that was really good. That was really good because it clarified a lot of things. Yeah, and we talked about a lot of interesting stuff. Like I was telling him about, there's this mechanic I want to have where you'll find like a creature that belongs in this like this abyss, like this biome itself, and it'll be like a creature that's suffering, or it needs help, or something is going wrong with it, or it's like out of place, whatever it is. You need to help that creature, and then whatever you need to do to help that creature, then it will give you a gift. And so the gift is usually going to be that it's going to give you an ability, but maybe that ability it gives you is going to like take away something that you already have. So for instance, one that we talked about was like, if you help this like, you know, flying creature, this like pterodactyl thing, that it'll be thankful and it will give you wings. Like you'll just get wings underneath your arms. But as a trade-off, you know, you need to like sacrifice a lot of your arm mass. Like it's like it gave you bat wings basically. And so now you can't really hold heavy things in your hands. So now it's like you can't hold something in your hands, but you can glide for a little bit. So then it's like you've got this, you know, concept of like risk versus reward. How do I help these creatures if they're gonna, you know, change how I interact with the world entirely? And I like that idea that it's like a, you know, the progression of the game could get easier, but it could get harder in other ways. And so there's a lot of like variability in how you're going to navigate the levels and like what you're going to do to, you know, meet those requirements. Especially when you know that there's going to be changes coming ahead. It's like, how are you going to do that in structured, you know, fashion? Anyway, he gave me some great ideas. We were talking for like maybe 15 minutes, and I was like, man, you got a lot of great ideas here. You should maybe like, you know, write these down or something. Because like I don't mind if people are throwing ideas at me. It's like, yeah, I'd love to use your ideas. Like, sure, that's kind of what creation is about. Is like you're taking inspiration from what's around you, and then you're turning it into something. And like, you know, we got a couple of good ideas out there. Mostly his concern was like with like tying the whole narrative together, because the idea of like going into the abyss, and the abyss, you know, you looking into the abyss and the abyss looking into you. It's for those of you who know or don't know, that's it's Nietzsche, and he's talking about how when you have experiences, those experiences impact you. Like no matter what you do, no matter what you choose, if that thing happens to you or around you, it's impacting you. Like that has an impression on your soul. And you change because of that. So it doesn't really matter what situation you're in, you're always becoming part of what has happened around you. And I think that's kind of that's the core idea, principle that I want to like really sell in this game, is that you get to the bottom of the abyss and you're completely changed by what happened. It's like a hero's journey, I would say. But I want it to be like thwarted, if possible. Like I want it to be that, you know, you progress through the levels and you decide to give away parts of yourself for new parts, and you become less and less human. And then when you meet the bottom, the abyss itself, like the abyss is actually a player in this story, and it judges your soul. Like it judges you. And if you're still too human, then you get rejected. It just sends you away. Like, you know, it's like this this idea of like progression and ascension, and, you know, like self-actualization through the experiences that you go through. It's a pretty deep story for like a game that I want to build that's going to take maybe like an hour to play. But I just, something about that idea is really, it's like prickling me in the brain, and it's like, oh, you should try this, you should do this, you should do that. And I just have like these notes running on and on about what's going on there. I don't know. This is a long-winded way of saying that I'm really excited about what I'm building right now. It's really scratching my itch. And you know, and to tie it all back together, I wish I could do this all the time. I wish I could do this every single day, because this is just exactly what I want to be doing. This is exactly what I want to do. In some ways, I'm kind of glad that I had such a, like, you know, a catastrophe in my working life, like a number of catastrophes or experiences that just like show me that that's not what I want. Because if I could really do it, I would be, you know, doing my own studio. Like I would be making my own games, and I would be, you know, making creative stuff for other people. I would just be making things that make people happy. That would be the number one goal. So that is that. So yesterday I remember the last video I talked about making a Rain World video, and I was like, there's no way to do commentary for single player Rain World. And I was like, so what if you just don't do commentary? Because I was like, you know, one of the most interesting things about Rain World is that it's a really challenging but compelling story. Like, it tells a really deep story. I don't know if you guys are into this. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But basically, Rain World is a story about the succession of life and the ascension through a mortal coil into the next lifetime. And it tells that in the most like basest forms of life. Like it you know, it talks about the struggles of survival and eating or being eaten and being part of a chain of, you know, violence, and how to supersede that and how to communicate through it and how to change and become something different. It's a story about life. It's a story about life and survival. And yeah, it's really just like I said, it's just a compelling story. And I thought, you know, one problem I've had is I really want to play co-op with my friends. I really like playing this game, but none of my friends, all of my friends who are really into games, like myself, you don't shake a bone at them. Like they're good at games. They're gamers. Okay, they've been playing since they were children. They they don't like this game. They don't like it because it's hard. They don't like it because it's challenging, and it like, you know, it's challenging in a way that they're not used to, and it's like they don't want to struggle in this like cycle of life and death, because death is like a mechanic in that game that's actually really key. Like it's not that you want to die, it's that you will die, and you should use that to your advantage. But a lot of people aren't really into that unless it's like sold in a way that's like, oh, you have to do this or you should do this. It's like when you start dying, all of a sudden it's like, you know, it's kind of weighing on them, because there's a little, you know, it takes time, and like there's a little like sequence, and like every time that you wake up after you died, you like have to like wait for the door open. It's like it makes you wait. Like it's a game that asks a lot of patience of you, and that's not something that a lot of you know, like high class gamers really have, is patience. Patience is a hard thing, but it's a virtue. You know, it really does accentuate the experience when you have to like slow down and take it in, because there's so many things happening. There's so many things happening in that game that if you go really fast, you're not going to see it all. Like you're not going to observe everything. It's not a like play this game and then it's beaten kind of game. It's like you want to enjoy it. It's a game about the journey. It's a really, you know, it's a game about sitting. It's like reading a book. Like you're there because you want to see what's happening on each page, not because you want to see the goal, not because you want to achieve something. And so you know, my brilliant idea from this is that there's probably so many people who really want to know about Rain World, who really want to know the story and how things are going, but they don't have the patience to play the game, or they don't have the skill, or they don't have, you know, whatever it takes for them to get through that experience. And so I thought, why not just give people that experience? You know, so I thought maybe what I would do is just like shoot one playthrough through one storyline, and then just like have no commentary, and then literally just have it be like the journey of, you know, that character going through doing the story. It's like, so you're like, you know, it's kind of like a throwback to like the old Let's Plays, but like before people got really annoying and they were like, welcome to my channel, you're gonna play this game, ha, look at this, fart poop butts, haha. You know, when things were just like watching, when you could just observe something and like see it for what it is, rather than, you know, the meta experience of like, oh, somebody is experiencing this and they're having this, and then they have their experiences on top of that, and then it's through the lens of this media, and like it's just so, it's like stratified, you know. I know, Gob. I freaking know, dude. He's whining because I pet him, and then, or I brushed him, and he got a little bit riled up, because spoiler, if you pet a cat too much, they will get upset. He's whining now because he wants attention, but he's also riled up. So yeah, I really want to give people that experience to see what Rain World is, to like, because I love that game. I love that game so much. I just really wish people could understand more about it. I wish they could play through it. I wish they could just go through the game and do what they want and just like see it and experience it, because it's a profound experience. It's a really profound game. But it asks a lot of you. That's partially why it's a profound game, is because it's asking so much of you it's asking you to step outside of your preconceived notions about what games are, and to do something that is more like esoteric, something that's a little bit more expressive. That's a lot for some people. That's a lot. So that's my idea. Last night I recorded some gameplay. Unfortunately, the mic wasn't on. The microphone for my computer wasn't on for some reason. I don't know, some bug or something. Anyway, I'm just gonna replay the parts that I did. And I'm just gonna do that. I'm just gonna upload like Rain World's gameplay to chill and relax to, and then see if people like that. Because I've honestly, like, I used to watch videos to fall asleep all the time. It's no big deal, you know. The game is like probably 3 or 4 hours long. I think it'd be worth it. Anyway, what else? We're already at 23 minutes. This is so much talking. I always feel like 20 minutes is like so much time until I start talking, and then it's just like, man, I've been talking for 20 minutes. I used to do presentations in class, like PowerPoints. I used to be like the front guy, the leader. I used to be the talker. And when we would do like projects, and I would feel like 3 minutes have passed and I would do a 30-minute talk, and it's just, every time blows my mind. Time just disappears when you're speaking. You ever just like have coffee with a friend and you're like you're like sitting there like sipping your coffee, and then you're like, oh, are they sweeping? Are they closing the restaurant? And then you look at your watch and you're like, just been talking for like 4 hours. It's fine. I just talk a lot, I guess. Anyway, sorry for talking your ear off. That was today. Hope that was a good update. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you later.